Fun fact, one time I used this specific light ring for a job where I was doing a bunch of different interviews. I noticed how you get these reflections on the glasses, like there are with mine. And my response to this was, oh, wow, that looks really lovely. That's gorgeous. Like, look at that. Oh, that's cool. That wasn't the response of the people who hired me to do the interviews. And so, for all of the ones where people were wearing glasses, they just didn't pay me. I'm pretty sure that all of the progress I've made over the last few years can be attributed to one specific thing that I started doing, and that is making learning films. This is a concept that I first kind of started to articulate in my short film Sellout, which is not very good looking back on it, but I talk about wanting to make films just so I can learn to make better films, so that when eventually I have that sort of brilliant, perfect idea that, you know, is wonderful for all of the reasons, I've got the skills with which to actually make it. And at the time, I kind of felt like this was a bit kind of off because, you know, you got to make things because you feel passionate about making the things and blah, 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 blah. You know, the person who wanted to make the films just to learn things, that one won. And I'm very glad because, my God, I've learned a lot from making learning films. So what do I actually mean by learning film? Sorry, I've rambled a whole bunch. Basically, making a film where the primary goal is not to win some competition. It's not to make this amazing thing that will take the internet by storm. The primary goal is just to learn something. Now, that something can be different for different films, but you have to know what it is you want to learn when going into the film. The Sweetest Death is a great example of this. I went into that thinking, I want to learn a bit more about creating tension with the placement and movement of the camera. That is the entire film. Everything revolves around that specific idea. Now, the film wasn't great in the end, like it had its problems, but I applied so many of those things that I learnt into making Better Than You, which, of course, is the one which got commented on by David F. Sandberg. Like, that would never have happened if I hadn't learnt the things that I learnt in making The Sweetest Death. Like, it just wouldn't. Similarly, Head/Tails was just to learn about writing dialogue. Like, this was my film where I tried to write some dialogue and then get actors to say it in a way that was mildly convincing, and just to learn from that. And you know what? I did. And then that really paid off when I came to working with actors doing dialogue in Bounce Back. Like, Bounce Back wouldn't be as good as Bounce Back is if I hadn't deliberately thought, I need to learn to do dialogue in film better, and then made Head/Tails. Similarly, Invite was just meant to be learning to work with a bigger crew on a bigger project. I've not managed to apply many of the lessons that I've learned there because I keep on doing tiny projects with tiny crews, especially given the year or so that we've had. This doesn't mean that the films have to be bad necessarily, because I'm quite proud of some of the stuff that I made with this learning film attitude. The Docs, for example, was meant to be my kind of tearing the Band-Aid off and just being like, I need to make something that is entirely mine. I was focusing on learning to do better cinematography, learning what lenses were capable of. That's my focus for that film, and it ended up being great. And it was very much a learning film, and it was the first thing that I did that, you know, won awards and was a success. So just because the primary focus is learning doesn't mean the film's even going to be bad. It just means you're going to grow as much as you possibly can from this experience. I've also found that people are really open to working on these kinds of films too. A lot of young actors, like the people that I work with, are really interested in just improving their craft and taking any opportunity they can to, you know, pursue that and become better actors. So seeing a filmmaker taking the same approach and being like, this is a film where I'm aiming to improve at being a filmmaker, that can be kind of inspiring. And you know, it's the kind of energy people like being around and helps them grow in their own craft too. So I've always found that I had this worry when I started making films like this that no one would be interested in being in a film when, you know, there's a chance it's going to suck at the end because the whole point is doing new things that you don't know if you can do well. But a lot of people just want to learn. And that is so good. I love learning. I hope this has been a useful / interesting concept for you that will help you develop as a filmmaker yourself. It's definitely helped me. I plan on continuing to make films specifically to learn stuff. So if you want to see more videos, feel free to subscribe. Hasta luego. I will see you when I see you.